Hi, I'm SkyPointWX.com's weather analyst Andrew Fleck. Just for your Monday's weather pattern discussion, I talked about early this past weekend that I would be doing one of these today, and that is what I am doing right now. So we're going to actually go real quickly into the map here and just kind of show you what's going on currently, the next 24, 48 hours, and then go out and pick a 100+ hour frame here and just talk about it. So what you're first looking at here is 24 hours. By tomorrow, Tuesday, around the afternoon, you can kind of see Ida's now starting to head in. The whole entire centered low pressure, all moving totally everything, moving inland over the Gulf states, Mississippi, Alabama. Alabama definitely. Let me tell you something, Alabama, you're going to get hit pretty hard with a lot of rain. Very, very, very impressive imagery off the GFS. You guys are going to have some flooding issues, major flooding issues off of that. Even Georgia up to South Carolina, those areas you're going to have to worry about flooding because this low is going to really keep together, and those states are so close to the Atlantic and the Gulf that they get fed by moisture every day. And when you can have a system move over, it just makes it that much worse. Elsewhere, this storm, like I said, is going to move probably to the northeast. The precip at least should. The low will probably hang back a little bit, and that's when the precip kind of abandons the low, and then everything's a little more disorganized. The west seems to be still very steady. You do have that energy kind of moving through the west yet around Oregon and Washington State. Definitely not the whole west, but the northwest. And then as we go into 48 hours, this is now when you're looking at Ida now really weakening itself, and like I said, it was going to abandon itself from the precip, and now you're looking at tight millibars here, and that means to me an easterly flow, and you're probably going to have bad beach erosion and probably really, really bad surf as well along Delmarva, even as far as New Jersey possible. Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. Those coasts are going to be really suitable for really, really bad rip currents, beach erosion. Very, very, very big issue that I thought I'd throw out there for you. Looking at elsewhere, there is a cold pocket that hangs down over the east there, and some precip does get over. But I think the one problem there is it just seems like there's a high pressure moving across the Ohio Valley. The precip comes up, and those two just can't come together and form anything to set a big snowstorm event up. I mean, I would look at it. I mean, you could give that a 10% chance of something occurring, but I don't think that I would go out there and predict the snowstorm. Yeah, there's a trough hanging down there. Yeah, there's a storm, but I mean that trough is just ways away, moving from the area. It's not coming into the area. But although I would keep an eye on that, but I think the main issue here is going to be across the southeastern coast for beach erosion, rip currents, and probably some very, very large waves to be dealt with. Then as we go into the longer range, next Monday, I said that I'd go through a slide here to talk about what the pattern looks like maybe a week from now, and so you can kind of see it looks like the same darn thing. Warm in the east, just a little colder because of a storm in the midsection of the United States. Here's the storm. Okay, and then the west still stays very calm, excluding Washington and Oregon. So the one interesting thing about it is, though, like Ida would be moving across the southeast coast in the next day or two. And usually what I've found out is that when you have a storm, and I mean a very, very strong storm, move off the east or through the eastern United States, a high pressure will build through, and that will make things calmer and warmer. That will then transfer or shift a whole colder and more stormier pattern to the west or the midsections of the west. And usually the east coast snow lovers are going to have to wait a little bit because you're probably going to need to wait for a storm to probably move over probably the midsections of the United States or the western United States till that flip-flops back to you guys again. But as for looking at the pattern, I mean, there really doesn't seem to be a cold shot anywhere. I'm not talking about the west, the east, the midsections. The only reason it looks colder here is because of the storm. So I really don't know what to say here. Just seems very warm for November right now, when it seemed to be very early and very cold over October over most of the heart of the country. Then as we go into the ensembles here for the Northern Hemisphere, this pretty much gives you a good valid update of what things are looking for a week from now. When you have this blue over your northern areas, such as the east, it's off Canada, but up around Greenland over the east, that's a positive NAO there. So what that means is you're going to be seeing positive blocking going on, and that gives way for warmer conditions over the east and drier conditions at times. Not to say though that you will have a flow of Atlantic moisture if you can get a storm across that area, because what happens is you do get a flow coming down through that, as you can see the blue here. But I mean, it's really not tropical season, so you're not going to have to worry about that. I mean, excluding Ida, I don't think you're going to have a train of tropical systems moving through the Atlantic at this time. Then as you kind of go negative on the southern side of the Pacific or Atlantic, like you see here, this is when you're going to then have a trough and storms come off and into the west, and that's when you're probably going to see colder conditions and such. So that then indicates a negative PNA. And then of course up here, this is your AO, and usually sometimes it could be centered anywhere over here or here or here, and it's centered over there, far away from any area to come down and give any major cold shot to anybody. It's way too far away from here, and if it would move in somehow from maybe contracting this area over Greenland to this area over here over Alaska, these two can connect. Maybe this could come down and maybe give the east a big cold shot again. It's a possibility, but the way it looks to me, out of 7 days, you have a positive NAO going off here because the storm is on the northern track of things around Greenland. You have a storm on the southern side in the Pacific, and that's causing a trough over the west. So that puts the puzzle pieces together for the next week. So the way it looks, more calm, more warm weather for the east. So that just about sums up your Monday's weather pattern discussion. I'm going to do another one tomorrow on Tuesday. See if maybe the models can move off 24 hours and maybe try to come up with another solution. If I could compare both models to see day 1 and day 2, and maybe see if there's any hinting of cold air coming down for any part of the United States. So that is it. I am SkyPointWX.com's weather analyst, Andrew Fleck. I hope you have a good Monday and enjoy it.